All right, then. I think we might as well get ready. I'm going to try to get you guys out of here within the hour or about an hour. Okay, I know the other sessions were quite long, so we'll try to keep this one a little bit shorter. Okay, we're doing something a little bit different today. It won't be actual videos we'll be looking at. It'll be little circles of players, and we'll really be focusing on ideas and principles defensively this time around of our attackers. So anytime we have two attackers, or let's say a striker and a 10, that is basically what we're going to look at. And it's something I find useful, but I wouldn't do it often because it's not vivid enough for us. So it's the first time we're doing it. We will see how it goes, what you guys think of it, how you feel about it, and if we bring it back or not. Okay, so without further ado, once again, I am Coach Milton. For those of you that don't know, Coach Eleanor is here with us as well. Much thank you to that. Please don't hesitate to interact, ask questions, stop us at any moment, get involved at any time. All right, I'm going to share my screen now. And there we go. Okay, we're looking at the forwards role defensively, okay? In a zonal defense, how the forwards should and would react. First and foremost, this is not mine. I took it from a French coach, so just paying respects to Jean Robert FAUCHER. And yeah, okay, we're gonna get right to it. And so for the things we're gonna go through are alternated pressing by the forwards, closing the passing lanes, and sorry about that. Double pinch, which is a term that I invented because I couldn't think of how else to say it, and cutting off wide play, cutting off inside play, pressing a defender who's running towards the goal, and anticipation on a goal kick. So covering a bunch of different things. We'll go through them as slowly and as quickly as is necessary, okay? So starting off it's relatively a low block. Most of what we see will be in a low block. And remember, low block is how your team shapes up defensively, okay? A block is how your team shapes up defensively. It can be a narrow block, a wide block, low, mid, high. And this, for the most part, according to the French coach, is a low block, and you will see that the defensive line is relatively deep, and thus offensive line is relatively deep as well. So first theme is alternated pressing by forwards. By that, we mean when the ball is in one place, what does the 9 do? When the ball is in another place, what does the 10 do? So here, the ball is starting with the letter B down here, and they're in possession. In this format, we'd see that the ball had gone forward from the green team, and the team has been slightly split. The green team has been slightly split. So now let me know if I'm going too quickly as well, guys. So now when the player B passes it to player C, number 9 is coming out to press. And then player C passes it to player B. All right, you see player C has been pressed. And player B now has the ball, and number 10, who the people we're focused on are green, just like McLean, all right? How do we react to this, okay? So the ball is going from player C to player B, and the question is, where should the number 9 go? We know number 10 is gonna press player B, okay? Now the question is, where should the number 9 go? So from the ball starting here to going to C, 9 pressing him, and the ball is now going to player B, where should our number 9 go? Do we have any idea where number 9 should be? Yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
In front of player F.
In front of player F, okay. That's a good reference right there, and I would about agree. Okay, that's not necessarily right in front of him, but in that center circle right there.
Mommy,
and why would that
the
be?
last piece.
I'm sorry? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Why do we think number 9 should be in that passing lane right there, that passing seam right there?
Because he's immediately facing F once he receives the ball.
He's immediately facing F. Okay,
When
but I would assume that F receives the ball.
Oh, if F receives it, okay.
No, so player B has the ball. You are correct in saying that number 9 should go here, but why should the number 9 go there, guys? What do we think?
To block off the passing lane?
Absolutely. That's all it is. Blocking off the passing lane. And thus, what are the options for player B now?
D and C.
D and C. Now, is D and C more or less dangerous than a pass to F? If the number 9 isn't there, did the number 9 make the right decision in your opinion? Anyone?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Generally, yes. Now, of course, we can go into more specifics about did the coach have a decision saying we want to press this player here or want to press in this zone? But in general, stopping them from advancing through the middle is what we're looking to do. So if player B passes it back to player C, that's fine. They can complete lateral passes all day. Lateral passes can't hurt us. If they pass to player D, well, we'll see that a little bit later on, but if they pass to player D, their angle to attack is much smaller because they have the sideline on their left and they can't go out through the sideline. So they only have straight or back to the right, where if the ball is in the middle, they have left, middle, and right. So player 9 made the right decision, said, I'm going to stop you from passing to F. And if you decide to pass to C, that's fine. I'll go and press C. We'll be back in position. Okay, and that's what they do. They play to player D. 7 comes out to press on player D. And now the red team no longer has a way to get out. And all of this starts with number 9 and number 10, okay? When coaches say, and you guys have probably heard it and you might think it's a cliche, but the first defender is the striker, that is true, okay? When we talk about a block, it's the entire team. All 11 players on the field are working together as a unit to defend, okay? And they've closed them down. Now, closing passing lanes and angles in buildup. All right, so once again, you know, we say all the time, open your angle as much as possible, give yourself as many options as possible. That means open yourself to the field of play, to where you're going to attack. That makes sense that defensively, we would want to close the angles for the opposition. We want to make them have less angles to make it easier to defend individually and collectively. And so closing passing lanes obviously means, let's just say I want to pass from, as we saw here, I want to pass from player B to F. Well, number 9 came in and he cut off that passing lane. That's all it is. And so to give you guys a real vivid image of that is this little screenshot from YouTube. Very useful, okay? Just basically zonal shielding, all right? The player with the ball, the red player has the ball, and the red player has 1, 2, 3, 4 teammates. But by excellent positioning, correct positioning, the 2 black and white teammates are able to cover 4. So this is a 5v2 that should be in favor of the red team. But the black and white teams position themselves in such a manner that the red player had no options here. Without the red team being forced to move, the red player had no options to pass here. So sometimes, and I've seen it, and I sometimes pull my hair out, but it's because we don't understand yet. It's a player will go and press someone who has the ball, and he said, but coach, I pressed like you said. But the issue is you pressed in such a manner that you left someone open, okay? You have to remember that you want to leave someone in your shadow. And those lines you see right there, that's what we call a pressing shadow when you're pressing, or a cover shadow when you're covering. In this sense, we're going to call it a pressing shadow. When you go and press someone, make sure you're putting one of their teammates in your shadow. That means, hey, I'm going to go run to him. Boom. He can't pass to anyone behind me. So if we were to go back here, okay, number 9. Who does number 9 have in her pressing shadow? Can anyone help me?
F.
F. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Number 9 has F in the pressing shadow. How about number 10?
C, or G, I mean.
G, correct. And actually number 9 is a cover shadow, but yes, absolutely. Okay, absolutely. 10 has G in their pressing shadow and 9 has F in their cover shadow. Well done. Okay, so now moving on to that, I want you guys to keep your eye on that at all times. Player C has the ball. Player C is that a pressing or a cover shadow for player number 9?
Pressing.
Pressing. And who's in that pressing shadow?
F.
F.
Absolutely. Well done. All right, don't hesitate to contribute my other 30 participants today. Okay. Player B now is receiving the ball. 9 and 10 are shifting. Very well. Excellent. But the question now is, what should player 9 do? Should player 9 stay on player C, or should player 9 drop?
He should drop.
Drop, because once again, we're stopping that pass to F. Okay, they can swing the ball back and forth on the defensive line all day. That's fine. That doesn't hurt us. But now player B says, I'm going to skip that and go straight to player D. And okay, breaking out of the density, out of the pressure, playing to player D. Well done. Now the question is, now where should the number 9 go? Okay, so the ball is here. It's going to player D. Player D is going to have the ball. Where should the number 9 go? Any ideas? This
Right
is all
in
the
front of
important
B.
stuff. Right in front of B, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have one person saying player 9 should go in front of B.
In front of G.
In front of G. Okay, it's another. And all right, is there one more solution or suggestion, I should say? Okay, well, player B, in this scenario, who's going to cover player D? Letter
10.
D as in dog.
The
10.
7.
Okay. Yes. I think the 7 would likely be the better option than the 10 in this situation. Okay. And we will see why a little bit later. But the 7 would be the option in this situation. The 7 would come out, boom, to here. Okay. Right. And the 10 can stay on the B. Because if the 10 comes over to the B, boom, the D can pass it back to the B. Or the D can pass into the G. So that's one. Then we said number 9 should come over here to the B, should come over here. I believe that means that then you expect this. Okay, fair enough. But what travels quicker, the ball or the player?
Ball.
Ball. Okay, if you guys haven't gone through the whole situation of a coach said stand on the line and run to that line as quickly as you can, and then he kicks the ball forward and he sees who gets there first, you or the ball. Well, that's the scenario here. So you might think you're super fast and you'll get to that player who has the ball before the ball gets there, but you won't. So in this scenario, 7 would come out to D. 10 can drop a little bit here, okay? And 8 can come here as well, all right? Or 10 can stay here, forcing D to go all the way back to the goalie, of course. But 9 in this situation would stop this pass here. It might seem like a dangerous pass here, but I've seen some of you guys play. I've seen some of your opponents as well. They can complete this pass. You all can complete this pass. So you definitely want to stop this pass here, because if this pass is completed, boom, F can go forward with the ball, okay? F can switch over to E. F can switch over all the way to the right flank. That's what you want to be careful of. So the pass here is what you want to stop. In this scenario, you're not trying to recover the ball by pressing by yourself. You're trying to force the red team into an area where you as a team will recover the ball. Okay, so it's not, oh, number 10 is going to get the ball and then boom. No, it's number 10, 7, 8, and 9 are all moving in such a way that D is either going to kick it out for a throw-in, going to have to go all the way back to the goalie, is going to have to try a dangerous pass, all of these things, okay? So one forward eliminates the interior pass, and boom, they have now come out to press. The 10 has gone with the B, 8 has pressed up on the G, and now boom, the 10 is cutting off the pass to the B. So now, what is the only pass that is possibly available or looks available?
C.
C. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what some of us would call a pressing trap, okay? We have said, all right, we have covered every single base. Starting here, all right, ball goes to B. 10 doesn't let the B pass to G. Ball goes all the way to D. 9 cuts off the pass to F. 8 makes sure to press G. 10 cuts off the pass to B. Boom. That means the only pass here is C. It looks open, but it's not really. And that means at any point, if they go for that pass, boom, the 9 can intercept the ball. So when we talk about pressing trap, it's basically giving the team and the opposition an idea that they can go a certain area when in fact it's not as open as they think, and boom, you trap them. You take the ball away from them, okay? One team that does that very well, a club team I'll say, is Liverpool. Men's and international team is, although they don't need to do it often, they so often have the ball, is USA Women's as well. Okay, and now we're going to look at double pinch, or between the forward and midfield. Okay, not something I have often asked of my players to do, but it is also something quite difficult to learn on terms of timing. So it's very simple. We're going to go over this together, learn this together. Is player B has the ball. Okay, player B has the ball. We are not completely set up. Green team is not completely set up. Player B is able to play the ball to F, who's checking in. Well done, to get away from the density. And now, boom. 6 is here. Does anyone have an idea what I mean by double pinch or pinch? If not, that's okay, but let me know if you have an idea. This, I think, will help. Who performs the double pinch with the 6? So the 6 is going to be part of the pinch, and then another player is going to join in.
11.
The 11, okay. All right, any other suggestions?
10.
Let me, 10 you said?
The 9.
The 9, okay. Let me give you guys good suggestions so far. One of them is correct indeed. I'll give you an example of what's going to start. So this is the first half of the pinch. Okay, 6 is going to come and press up on the F, so she has nowhere to go unless, in terms of turning around. So who now is going to perform the other pinch between 11, 9, and 10?
10.
We're going with the 10. Okay, we're going with the 10. Okay, that's actually not a bad idea. Only real issue with that is what I'd say is that the 9's a little bit closer. The 9's just a little bit closer. You know, it's hard to see in here, but the 9's just a little bit closer. And even though the 10 is a great idea because boom, if the 10 presses correctly, she has the B in the pressing shadow, so can't go back to B. But same thing, if the 9 presses correctly, can't go back to C. Okay. So in this scenario, it is indeed the 9 that's going to come out and press here, and is going to trap the F. They're going to double pinch, and boom. Okay. And now I often, fair enough, say rarely go by 2. And I say, don't go by 2, don't go by 2 when you're pressing someone. It depends on the scenario. From this case, you're pressing from the back and the front. So if F passes it back to C, if this happens here, if I can get the ball, if this happens here, it's not the end of the world because we'll just set up like we did last time. We'll just set up like we did last time, okay? Whereas if somehow the F is able to get the ball to D, boom, there's a wide open space here that can be taken up by the player on a dribble or through a pass. And if it's a pass, the ball will get past that line way before the 10 can get there. So that is why the 9 is a better solution in this scenario here, okay?
Hey, Coach.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed listening to your explanation. The one thing I would say is the term I'm a little more familiar with for this kind of situation, right, when we do send 2, is double team. And
double team? All right.
Double team, right? But I love the idea of saying pinch because I think, no, here's the thing. I think that helps communicate to some of our players of why it is we are sending 2. I think it might be interesting, maybe let the kids share a little about, when do you go by 2? Because we as coaches, we talk a lot about being very defensively organized. Do not step if your teammate is stepping. She presses, cover. So when do we know that this is the time? Let's commit to, force them. That's a really good, this is such a great moment, right? Pinchment.
That's a great point. Actually, that's a great point. And so I want to ask now, players, do we have any concrete examples in our minds of when it'd be a good time to double team or to present a pinch? Any ideas? Anything you can think of? Honestly, you've been on the pitch. You said, boom, this is a great time to go and press.
If the ball is moving towards the player very slowly, I think you can get to it, I guess.
Okay. All right. Anything? Jonathan, oh, sorry, go ahead.
If the opponent doesn't really have many other options, so like they won't be able to pass out of it.
They won't be able to pass out of it. Okay. Before we continue, you guys have just presented something that rose into one. We talked about it last time. When the other team has the ball, we don't have the ball, and we are going to press. We look for, what is that term? What is that term that we look for to push us to go press that? Do we remember? I know some of my boys should remember.
It's the pressing trigger.
A pressing trigger. There you go. A trigger. Okay. So it can be anything. A few weeks ago, when we were looking at Spain, Netherlands, I believe the trigger was anytime the Netherlands had the ball back to goal, Spain would go and press them. Okay. And this scenario, as you said, I think it was Jacob, you said when they have nowhere to go, in a general sense, that can be a trigger. Jonathan said when the ball is arriving too slowly, boom, that's another trigger. Okay, so those are moments that everything you do is literally a trigger in the game. It can be, oh, I should pass there because she's completely open. That's the sort of trigger. In this case, we're talking about pressing trigger. Okay, so good on you two for that. Well done on that. As you as well, I believe was Pulak. Okay, so double team or double pinch, and pinch in this scenario because we're taking them both. We're taking the player from both sides, boom, and hoping to recover the ball. All right. So remember, the reason we went with the 9 is because if the ball goes back to C, that's okay. We can just set up the way we were. We can just set up the way we were. Now, cutting off wide play. Cutting off wide play. All right. So that means the ball is going to be in the, oh, that's where we should start. When would we want to cut off wide play? That's the global question first. When would we want to cut off wide play? So that means when do we want to stop the ball from going to the flanks, to the fullbacks, to the wing backs, to the wide midfielders, to the wingers, and the wide forwards? Any ideas? Just one moment you said, oh no, we got to make sure the ball doesn't go wide. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's say the ball is on the left side of the field. Okay, the left side of the field. Why would we want to stop it from going all the way to the right?
Because players would have already been drawn in from pressing on the left.
There you go.
And so the player on the right would have a lot of space.
There it is. There's one right there. Okay, one reason to start off wide play is, hey, we're all on the left side because we shifted over as is expected. So if they're able to swing it quickly or just change the point of attack, switch it right away, boom, we're going to be outnumbered. They're going to have an advantage on the other side. There you go. That's one example. Okay, let's say the ball is in the middle. Why would we want to cut off wide play? Let's think about pressing traps. Let's say, where's the most dangerous place on the field? The middle or the flanks?
Middle.
The middle, okay. So with that idea in mind, why would we want to stop them from playing wide? Let's say the ball is in their mid-defensive third, the opposition mid-defensive third, they have the ball. Why would we want to stop them from playing it wide? I don't know if that was a good enough clue.
Because then they would get out of the compact space of all the defenders.
There you go. Absolutely. Was that Colin? I'm not sure who that was, but absolutely. Okay, that's one right there. It can be, boom, we got them exactly where we want them. We just got to make sure they stay in this area here, especially those teams that like to play out from the back. They have been drilled into them. They believe in it. And if you can trap them there, boom, they only have one other option is to go wide, and you've got to stop them from doing that so you can keep the ball there. Or otherwise, they're going to say, all right, it's stuck. We got to go back to the goalie, or we have to kick it forward. And if they kick it forward, that should be our ball. So it's a recovery for us. So that is just two of the myriad of reasons of why you want to cut off wide play. Okay, because you have them right where you want them is basically the idea. You have them where you want them. That's the idea. Okay. So in this scenario, player F has the ball, is being hounded by player 6. Player F cannot play to 9. Oh, sorry, cannot play to the right center back. Player F cannot play to the left center back, and can't play to letter I, and it can play to G, but also has E and D open. Okay. So now we're going to watch as player F makes a decision, dribbles the ball forward. Green team starts to shift over. It appears that which player is the target for player F?
D.
Okay. So now if we want to cut off wide play, who do we think we should be going to stop this pass here?
10.
10.
The 10. Why the 10 and not someone else?
Because it's the closest player to where D is.
Okay. Well done. All right. And let's say that, yes?
It would also open up a player forward, whereas if 10 went back, then it would leave a player that's in the back and not forward. I mean,
Absolutely. There are only two options really, either 10 coming here or the 7 coming here. I mean, the 8 is a bit too far, it wouldn't work. So absolutely on the first answer, and then Jonathan completing it, because if the 7 does come out, boom. That's much more dangerous than if the ball were to go to D. Okay. So yes, it is the 10 cutting off the pass here. And if F goes back to B, that's fine, because we just learned how to press when the center backs have the ball. And I know I'm telling you all this, and it seems sorry, right there. Okay. All right, no problem. And I know it can be absolutely frustrating saying, Coach, we're defending, we're chasing the ball, and we're not getting it back. It's soccer, okay? You will get the ball back, period. It's just the way the sport is built. You will get the ball. You don't have to wait for the other team. It's not volleyball where it's boom, 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 and it goes to the other side. You are always in constant contact, so you will get the ball. You will get the ball. So thing is, you just want to make sure you're doing it in a way that will not hurt your team, okay? So well on you for that. And next one up. There you go. So one forward cuts out the wide pass. Very good. Boom. Can go back to B, and we're good. And we're good. Okay. Now, pressing a defender running towards their goal. This is something I'm going to cover the defenders on this part as well, because I just have to. Okay. Just have to. I'm just going to give a tiny bit of context. I was working with the senior team, and the coach was telling the defenders right before the game, you guys need to stop doing that part of when the ball's kicked over your heads, you jog over to it and then recover and then play. Because when you do that, so I'm talking to the center backs here, when you do that, you don't have time to get on the ball. You sprint to it. You have time to put your foot on top of the ball, look up, and make a decision, because the defender is not going to be as close to you. Okay, so I'm going to provide more of a context with the images, but the idea is for our defenders, our center backs, when that ball's going over your head, if your goalie can't go get it because it's too far out wide or whatever, you have to hurry up to that. Do not jog to it, do not walk to it, sprint to it. So boom, you have more time on the ball. And what we want in soccer as much as possible is time and space. Okay, so conversely, if we're a forward, we want to limit time and space for the opposition. So in this case here, we're setting up. Okay. They have their 4-2-3 run, 4-2-3-1. The red team starts at 4-2-3-1. We're still in our 4-4-2. And again, guys, I know the green team's in 4-4-2, but this is still applicable anytime you have two higher up players working together. Okay, it could be two strikers. It can be a striker and a second striker. It can be a striker and a winger. It can even, it can be a striker and a 10. It can even be, in certain scenarios, a striker and a winger. Okay, but in this case here, player G plays a poor pass back to player B. Okay, player B is going out. So player B, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You have to hurry over to this. Even if player D was, player 10 was all the way over here and wasn't running, player B should be sprinting to get that ball to make sure he has all the time in the world. But yes, player D is making this run forward to press them there. Boom. Now my question is, as we're moving, what else needs to happen? Player 10 has pressed on B. What else needs to happen? We've gone 2,
7 press D.
7 presses D. Okay, that's one. I need another one.
9 presses C.
9 closes down on C. Okay, absolutely correct as well. When we press when they have the ball, we're closing them down. They don't. All right, what else do we have? That's individually. Globally, what else could happen, should happen?
You should shift to the right side of the field.
Shift to the right side. That's one part, yes. In terms of width, we should shift. How else should we shift?
Push up.
Push up.
Yeah, everything push up.
Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. There it is right there. One thing we sometimes see is the two strikers go. You guys can see it on TV. Or, hey, maybe some of our forwards have done it ourselves, probably. Is we go and we press and we're chasing after the ball, and then the ball gets away and we turn around and we see that we're the only ones pressing. We're the only ones chasing the ball. And boom. And sometimes we shouldn't have gone, but sometimes the defense, we were just split. Our forwards went, our midfielder didn't go. Or our forwards and midfield went, our defenders didn't go. And that leaves a horrible space in the middle that will be exploited by a good team. So absolutely, more specifically, 7 on 10, 9 coming over to C, okay? Unless, again, we're going for pressing trap, but we're just going to say 9 over to C. Absolutely here. 7's a little bit late, but we'll get there. There we go. And look at that. The entire team is moving forward and to the side. 3 was almost on the outside. The player 3 over here was almost on the outside of the penalty box and now is moving up. They put a player offsides. One thing that is missing a little bit is the goalie moving up with them as well, okay? And thus, now we have pushed them here. The 9 has been able to move in front of the goalie because the 6 has come up. Now, do we agree with the 6 coming all the way to here and leaving this player here?
Mm-mm. Oh, wait.
No,
No.
because they can make a long pass.
Because
Okay.
it depends on whether or not we like the assistant referees, given that all 3 red strikers are now offside. If the refs are good, it's okay. If the refs are bad, drop back.
There you go. That is something you have to pay attention to, unfortunately, team. We do have to be able to read the refs. But yes, okay, so I heard mostly no's. I heard mostly no, the 6 should not be coming all the way to here. So where should the 6 be then, in your opinion?
In that space between the 3.
Right here?
Yeah.
Around there? Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone disagree? Okay. I kind of have to say I disagree a bit. I disagree a bit. Now, this might be being a little pedantic, but if you see player B is facing the goal, is facing player A, okay? I'd rather player B try maybe a ball in the air, a ball on the ground, but a long ball all the way to this player here than have maybe an easier ball to player C, okay? Because by the time ball gets to player C, boom, this player can drop here, we can play there, this right winger can drop there, and we can play there, depending on what 11 decides to do, okay? So my scenario, I like B going here because if player B goes all the way long, that should be our ball. It should be our ball, okay? You look at goal kicks and the goalie kicks it long and the forward is backpedaling to control the ball and the defender is moving forward to attack the ball. Who has the advantage? Let's say, all right, I think we have an example down here. Okay, so goalie has the ball, kicking it long. Who has advantage in the situation? If the ball goes here, it's coming in this area here. Who has the advantage? Red player or number 6?
6.
Number
Number
6.
6.
Why?
Because the ball's coming towards him.
Because he's anticipating.
Anticipating, the ball's coming towards him. He's facing the goal, whereas the red player is facing the goal she wants to attack. All of those things. So in this scenario here, I'd much rather say, you know what, go ahead and try this deep pass, cutting through a line with your player back to goal. I'd rather you try that. And then hopefully we recover the ball and go directly to goal in a 1, 2, 3, 4 v 1, 2, 3. I'd rather try that. I'd rather B try that than say, oh, okay, I can play here. And then depending on what 6 does, I can either play here to this player dropping, this player here, this player there, this player there, okay? Now, those are just things that I'm saying all of these things now, but in a game, you're not gonna have time to say pause, let me write my notes, let me check, and then it's not gonna happen. But with experience, it's gonna become second nature. You won't even be thinking about it, okay? That's the idea there. So were we already here? Okay. Okay, so now going to a defensive goal kick, going to a defensive goal kick. So red team has the ball, red goalie has the ball. They have decided to go long. We just basically discussed this. What we want from our forward is to anticipate. So ball is going long, we're reacting. And if we look down here, the forward anticipates a successful headed duel during the ball's air travel. Okay, So we're anticipating that the number 8 is going to get to the ball before letter I and is going to head it or control it or whatever and pass it forward to number 9, okay? This is what we're anticipating. And this goes back to player 8 is facing the field of play. Player 8 wants to go this way. Red player here. Player I, right there, okay, wants to go backwards and is in a difficult situation. So player 9, you can anticipate this. And honestly, maybe 8 times out of 10, nothing's gonna happen. Okay, the player 8 isn't gonna be able to get that ball onto you. But on those 2 times, you'll get maybe 2 chances, maybe 1, and that is what we're looking for. We're looking to get that chance. It's not, unfortunately, it's not basketball where we get 100-point scores. We get those 2, 3, 4s, 5s between both teams put together max. That's what happens. So you've got to gamble sometimes. The striker has to gamble sometimes. But you can only gamble if you deliver. I'll say that, guys. Okay. If you're not going to put in the defensive work going backwards, you got to make sure you're putting up the defensive work and the offensive work going forwards. So you have to find the right balance in that scenario. Okay. Moving on to here. Okay, so it's the ball there. Boom. 9 is moving. And the question is, where should the number 10 make the run? Any ideas? This is the scenario. Where should the number 10 go? Here, 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 here.
On the outside.
On the outside, you mean here?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone say anything else?
Overlap.
Maybe, yeah, overlap.
Overlap, we're saying. So yes, go ahead, sorry.
I think you should go to so C, this defender C is gonna be drawn by the number 9 because he's gonna be turned around and he's gonna be bothered by number 9. So 10 should take the space that C vacated.
Okay. Is that what you guys meant by overlap?
Yes.
Is what you all meant by overlap? Okay, very good. So very well described there, Pulak. Absolutely. Okay. So we have given 2 options basically, here or here. Now, before we delve further and give the answer, one rule of thumb that is almost always guaranteed and has to happen is when your teammate has the ball, you have to make sure that he has an option to the left and an option to the right. Okay, so in this scenario here, number 9 gets the ball, boom, we have to make sure that she has an option over here. We have to make sure she has an option over here, all right, to the left and to the right in any scenario. So that means, let's say I'm the number 9, my right winger's to my right, I receive a through ball into the right flank, I'm gonna get there before my right winger. What should my right winger do? If I'm going into her space, where should my right winger go? Where should he go?
Into the 9 space.
Into the 9 space. Okay. Interesting. You guys absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So once again, if we look at this, now what do we think the answer is? Where should the 10 go?
To the opposite side.
To the opposite side around here?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. This is the space we're taking up here because the 7 will move up to offer something on the right if we're paying attention. The 11 will be moving up as well to offer something on far left. And the 9 has a 1v1 with the goalie, has a 10 following, and has the 8 who's going as well, okay? And the reason we want the 10 to go here and not the 8 is because the 8 can do this more readily than the 10 can go all the way over here, okay? It's just a shorter distance for the 8, and we take better space there, okay? So if we look at it from the beginning. Okay. Does anyone disagree or not understand? You are more than allowed to disagree. Okay. Does anyone disagree? Okay. Absolutely. All right. Now we're going to. That was the entire PowerPoint. So now we're going to be doing a bit of a review just to make sure we understand. Okay. So first off, what have we discussed so far?
Pinching.
Pinching. All right. And can you describe that?
It's like a double team where two players go against the person with the ball.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. What else? Oops, don't want to give the
Pressing
answers.
shadow.
Pressing shadow. And can you describe that?
It's where one person covers or presses in front of two players, and if positioned right, they can get in front of the path of the ball in front of the two players. I don't know how to say that better than that.
I think I understood what you're saying. Does anyone want to help out for the pressing shadow? We'll come back over here. Boom. Okay. So let's say red player has the ball. I got what you're saying, Jonathan.
Yep.
The player on the left comes out and decides to press the red player. The black player can put these two red players over here in his shadow by pressing correctly. Now, obviously, if the red players are intelligent, they will then spread out, but by then it might be too late. Okay, so when you go and press, you have to be cognizant of what is behind you. That doesn't necessarily mean while you're pressing, you're checking over your shoulder, but it does mean you have to check over your shoulder. And when do you have to check over your shoulder when you're pressing? When you're going to press, when are you supposed to check over your shoulder? Before the press, during the press, after the press? Which one?
Before the press.
Before the press, okay. And can we be more specific even? A simple example of when exactly should you press? Let's say this player is about to receive the ball. Should you press, should you check before he receives, after, when?
Before he receives?
That'd be excellent. And even after as well, if I'm being a little cheeky. But yes, absolutely, okay? Just like with anything, the earlier you check, the better. The more often you check, the better as well. So in this case, you've checked over your shoulder, you know where the defenders are, the other team is. You can thus adjust your press to be able to press that player under pressure, put him under pressure, but also stop him from making an easy pass to where you just were. Okay, so we just talked about, otherwise known as zonal shielding as well, zonal shielding, okay? What else? We have pinch, the double pinch, the pressing shadow. What other ideas have we covered? Not necessarily terms. Any ideas?
When to press as a striker and where to get in between the defender and the defender and a midfielder.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So that would coincide with what we're looking at here. Alternated pressing by the forwards. Okay. C has the ball. B has the ball. C9 goes out to press to C. Ball goes over to B. 10 goes over to press to B. Okay. So absolutely. Now we're going to do just a few talks here just to make sure we got it all down. All right. Fun little game here. So let's say that we're starting all the way at the beginning here. Get to where we are. All right. B has the ball in this scenario. Who should be pressing player B?
10.
The 10. Very good. Let's say player C has the ball. Who should be pressing player C?
9.
9.
All right. And let's say player E. Oops. Player E has the ball. Who should be pressing player E?
11.
11. Okay, very good. One more. I'm sorry?
Nothing.
Okay. Now you're going to tell me how to set up. We're going to leave the ball on player E. So you all said player 11 should come here. Now where? Tell me where. Tell me where to stop, okay?
Stop.
Okay, so between F and E or between, we're going to give this player, let me say this player L. Between E and F or E and L or somewhere else?
E and L.
E and L?
Yeah.
E and L, okay. All right, now what else should we see?
6
Put
up on F.
6 should press F.
6 on F, all right. Anything else? What are we
9
deciding
on
to do
C.
here?
7
9
closer
on-
to G.
Who's closer to G? Who should come closer to G?
7,
7 closer to G. Why'd you say that?
because he could pass it to G through the 6 and 9.
Yes. And also a more global idea is ball is far side. So what do the far players do?
Position. I don't know.
If the ball is on, let's say you're a right midfielder, the ball is on the left side. What should you do? Your team doesn't have the ball. What should you do?
Shift over.
Shift over. So yes. Okay. And then I heard someone say number 9 should press on C, correct?
Yeah.
Number 9 should press on C. So, oh, let me just fix that. Sorry about that all. Okay, so you're saying this person should come here, yes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's say that we decide to put number 9 on C. What is our goal as a defensive team if we do this? Because there's a goal if we do this, if we just do that, and there's a goal if we do that. What is our goal if we come all the way out to here? What do we want E to do?
Force him to pass it to B.
Force the pass to B. Oh my word. Okay, very good. That's one option. Okay, what else could we be trying to? That's absolutely correct. What else could we be trying to get E to do? Because we told them very obviously that C is not the way to go. We're saying if you want to try F, that's very dangerous. What else could we be trying to get E to do?
Pass it
we
to
could
G.
try.
Go ahead. I pass it to G, and what else was going to be said?
We could try to get him to go long to L or like the striker.
That's the other one in general right there. We're basically saying, hey, try dangerous pass all the way back to B, or try to send it long to your wing partner here, or try to send it long to your striker there. That is what we're telling them. That is what we're telling. So when you guys act in a manner defensively, you're giving a message. Right now, you're saying pass it to B. Please pass it to B because we have 10 here ready to intercept. Or you're saying try a long pass, potentially down the sideline, which can go out for a throw-in, or we recover it just like that. Or try a long ball for your striker right here between the 4 and the 5 in a 2v1. All right. So well on you for that. Now let's say that 9 stays here. Now, what are we telling you to do?
Play it back.
Play it back to C, okay? And that is something you're going to have to decide beforehand with the coach, but also as players yourselves, you're going to have to understand on the game. You're going to have to see, you know what? Player C isn't that good on the ball. Let's let player C have the ball. She can't hurt us from there. Or, player C is actually really good on the ball. Let's avoid her having the ball. Or simply put, we're chasing the game. We're down by 1, 15 minutes left. Let's let them try this pass here. Let's let them try this pass here. Okay. All right. Or it could even be, we want them to have the ball here. That way, what can we do if the ball goes here?
Press.
All right, we can all push up. Okay, that's another movement right there. That allows our team to get further up the field. Because sometimes you'll notice it, my back line, my defenders, all my defenders that are listening out there, to be, I feel like we've been in our penalty area for the last 10 minutes. We cannot get out. This right here is a way, as a striker, to help your team get out. Okay, that is a way as a striker to help your team get out. All right, so that is the global idea of what we're doing on that case there. All right, are there any questions or any ideas, something we've covered or we've discussed or you've seen on TV and you want to say, what is that? What do we mean by that? Okay, I have a question for you all then. What is a block in soccer?
Is it like where you shield the ball?
So we shield the ball. Okay. Do you mean something like this?
Yeah, kind of. But like, if you have the ball and you're like,
okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. It's a good idea. I would call that more shielding than block, but that's a good idea right there.
Do you just mean a regular shot block?
No, that's a fair point. I didn't clear that up. By block, I mean the team in general. Okay, so that's good. We can discuss that very, very briefly. So a block, without using any diagrams or pictures yet, a block is your defensive shape, your organizational shape. Okay, well, there's another name for offense. I used to call it a cloud. Some people call it a web. There are a few different terms, but defensively, when you do not have the ball, you have a block. And what do we want our block to be when we don't have the ball? What are the two things we want to limit for the other team?
Space and
Space and time, absolutely. So what do we want our block to be?
compact.
Compact, absolutely. And that's the perfect word for it, because compact tends to mean narrow, narrow as we have here, but also short or small, okay? Narrow on the sides, narrow in length. That's what we mean by block, okay? And now there's low block, mid block, high block. We won't get too far into it. Just gonna close it off for you. But low block, mid block, high block. Do we have any ideas what that could mean now, based on what we know of block? Here we go. In terms of length, in terms of depth, where is the green team block? From what player to what player?
$5 to $10. I don't know.
5 to 10. All right, that's good. And in terms of width, what would we say our block is like?
11 to 2.
11 to 2. Okay, very good. All right, very good. Now, when we talk about mid, low, or high, what do we think we're talking about? Any guesses? Guesses are fine.
Forwards, the midfielders, and the defenders.
Okay, so in terms of sections, all right. Not quite what we're looking for, but you're on the right track. What else do we have?
The type of press.
That's about what we're looking for. It doesn't necessarily have to be a press, but that's the idea. So a low block, for instance, let's say our 4s and our 5s are all the way here, and that means our 7s and our 8s are here, our 6s are there, our 11s are here, our 9 and 10s are there. Basically, when you hear a player, an entire team has the entire team behind the ball, like in this case right here, all the players are behind the ball, that tends to mean that they have a low block. A high block would be, everyone is much higher up the field. We're going all the way here. We're going all the way here. We're going all the way there. And a mid block is somewhere in between. That's an idea there. We'll get more into it later on in the future. Okay. Now, that was our idea for the day. That's what we're looking at today, okay? So we talked about pinching. We talked about, what else did we talk about?
Press and cover shadow.
Press and cover shadow briefly, yes, absolutely. What else? Any terms you heard? We didn't necessarily define them. One more time?
Alternated pressing.
Alternated pressing, absolutely. Okay. Is alternated pressing only a concern for our strikers?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Give me an example of another situation.
Maybe between, well, no, because it would be press and cover for most positions. I was going to say maybe if two center mids were playing next to each other and maybe like a 4-4-2, for instance. But I feel like one center mid would press while the other covers, so probably not.
It's the same global principle, actually. It's the same global principle, because if the opposite midfielder passes to his partner, you're going to go out and press. Your partner is going to drop. It's the same global idea, really. Press and cover is the same global idea of that alternated pressing bit. So absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Once again, thank you for joining, everyone participating. Again, if you have any recommendations or questions or concerns or something you all want to cover, tell me or tell your coaches, as we've done, and we will see if we can cover that in the next coming weeks. Thank you again for coming. Let your coaches know as well. All right. Win yourself some brownie points with that. And thank you, everyone. All right.